All right, what's up, everybody? Good to be back. We are exhausted from testing, basically. I am. I've probably played, and this is not an exaggeration. I've probably played in the past week 150, probably more, to be honest. About 150 games probably in the past week. Um, yeah, I'm tired. so, but I had to stream today because unfortunately it's going to be the last opportunity for the next 2 weeks. Obviously next Wednesday I will be in LA. I will arrive on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I will be arriving just late enough to miss the min max team event, so I think somebody else from the team is going to represent. But I will not be attending that specific tournament. Um, and yeah, so uh, I went to and well, I guess let's break down what we're doing today. Why are we here? And then we'll start recapping and giving people time to come in and everything. So the goal that I wanted to accomplish today was talk strictly meta. Just show the evolution from week 1, 2 to 3 to 4 and show how it changed, right? And then kind of like, and of course, it's my stream, so we're gonna do a tier list at the end, right? We just have to. So if you came for a tier list, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Just like a final thoughts, this is what I'm expecting. Also, so 3 parts. First is going to be show the evolution between RTN weeks. Second, we're gonna do the tier list, and then last, what I'm gonna do is basically try and go down every hero and kind of say, be ready for this, right? If you're KO, have a good fatigue plan. These are some of the ways that you can do that. I'm gonna try to hit as many heroes as I possibly can, and we're gonna see. Maybe there's some good nuggets there that people can pick up on if they're trying to make last second sideboarding decision. Or we also have ProQuest season coming up sooner than we want to believe. One competitive season after the other. Let me turn that off real quick. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. 3 steps. We want to review the RTN season evolution, how it's changing, all of those things, and then get into the tier list for the Pro Tour. And lastly, we'll close out with some be ready for this if you're playing X hero. So we played at RTN this past weekend. I took Bolton, and basically we did good. We got to the finals and then made a split. It was a Dromite, so it wasn't exactly my decision to make. Basically, it is what it is. But I had an amazing time at the event. I did win the first one that I went to. Fortunately, went 9-0 in the draft. And so I was kind of thinking to just be done with RTN season. However, I already paid for this entry, and it was only like an hour and a half drive or something like that. So I was like, I'll just go. And so I took Bolt and just have a little fun, and we split the finals in that one. So it sounds super useful. I won't be able to stick around because I gotta sleep. That's okay. Just check out the VOD, absolutely. And if there's any questions you want me to hit on specifically, just throw them in chat or throw them on the Twitter post, and I will try to get to them the best I can. Yeah, so we had fun at the RTN. I hope everybody got a chance to earn their invite. I went 0-5 on Azuri. Azuri's a rough one if you get the wrong gym pairings. Stromae it's rough. Kano's not great, and yeah, if it Azuri to me kind of feels like the Dash situation where every single win you really got to earn it because I don't think you're doing anything particularly, you know, broken or anything. You have Codex of Frailty, but um, that's about as long as I'm willing to drive for an event. Oh, I've driven 4 hours for a pro quest before. I think because we go to Atlanta all the time. I'm from like Alabama, so there's not. You can imagine if I went to Armory, I would have to go. I would have to drive an hour and a half just to go to Armory, just to give you an idea. So an hour and a half for an RTN is not bad, not bad. I do have two questions, but I don't know how relevant they are to the stream. I went top 4 Dory twice on my previous event was single point, so I'm pretty happy. Yep, yeah. Go ahead and just throw the questions down, and I will try to get to them. We might answer them right now, depending on what they are, or we can get to it later. Other than that, I've locked in a deck as of today. So the goal was a week ago. We fell short because we were getting data point after data point that was kind of compromising what we thought, and we had to adapt. As I see on Twitter, a lot of the competitive players did not account for, and I think that I think there's a lot of people that have not slacked off on preparation. And you Pockets, you said it perfect. Zuri's not doing broken stuff because Riptide also has Codex of Frailty. I could not have said it better. That was amazing. But yeah. So, we've locked in a deck. I can't say because if I say it and then I change, then I get labeled as psyoping people, and I don't want to go through all that. So we have locked in a choice. I don't think it's that spicy. Some people might be like, "Really?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." I would say it exactly like that. Yeah. But we're doing what we can, right? So we have a pick, and we're just gonna work on matchups and a little bit of draft over the next week, and that is the plan. I hope everybody else's preparation, whether you're going to the calling or going to the pro tour, whatever the case may be, I hope all is going well for everybody. Disruption never lined up. Yep, I hate it when that happens with Azuri. When you get that leave no witness or that CNC and they play out their arsenal, it never feels great. Well, one question, if you think it's worth it to pick up a second class or specifically Prism at the moment. I think Prism's good. As a Dorian main, I think position worse in the meta with Dromai. The Brutes, yes. Dromai, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I don't think that Dromai is as bad as people think it is for Prism. I'm not going to go any further than that because it's not my secret to tell. So I don't have the liberty to disclose that. And yeah, thinking about buying into Illusionist as prep for the new set, speculating it'll contain new Illusionist stuff. I think that anything revolving around the blue pitch color, if I had to kind of like speculate, I would say that we're going to get, because every Illusionist has a preferred strip color. Prism, it's yellow. Dromai, it's red. I think we're going to get a blue one. So any of like the Forgotten Everfest Dynasty kind of like Illusionist cards that specifically cost 3. Some of the Majestics might be 50 cents right now. Pick a play set up. No harm. That's the best advice I could give. The other question is when you think we'll see a Necromancer in Fab. I have no clue. The correct answer is not soon enough. But I don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue. I think we do need a new set. We have or a new class because I don't think we've gotten a new one since Assassin, right? That was the last one we got, and that was Dynasty, which was 3 sets a year ago, more than a year ago. Wow. So it's been a minute. It has been a minute. How many rusted relics? See, Punkage, you just know me too well. You know me too well. Prism Chat thinks Dromai is an auto fold almost. Yeah. It's not something that you want to sit across from, but it's not as bad as people are making it out. I'm back on Azalea. I think Azalea is a fine pick right now. I think Azalea is perfectly fine. Well, at the beginning of the year was Azuri from Outsiders, but there was already an Assassin. So technically, we haven't gotten a new class since the end of 2022 with Dynasty, and that was Arachne. That was the first Assassin. So kind of like September time frame in 2022 is the last time we got a new class. Dromai is a million times more manageable with a new weapon as Prism. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay. So let's not linger on too much. We got those questions out of the way. Let's go ahead and go over the meta shift that we have seen over the weeks. I think this is very important because it kind of, I don't like taking this data as like, this is what's happening, right? But I do like to just shed a little bit of light on it, and it helps me understand where people's mindset is in according to what they are wanting to play or what they're willing to play. And it shows the change, which is very important. The change is more important than who's on top. If they start here and end up here, that kind of, there you go. That's all you need to know, right? But if they're always kind of hanging out in the top, that's another thing, right? But one thing you have to keep in mind, there's a lot of splits in these RTNs, which is going to throw these numbers off. Just as a professional player that's been playing this game, I don't want to say professional, but like I've been playing this game like seriously competitive for like 3 years now, and I would say probably 1/4 of all RTN or ProQuest level events are split in some way at the top. Whether that split changes who is marked as first or not, I don't know. But that's just like an observation from me kind of situation. So yeah. With week 1, let's go ahead and dive right into it. With week 1, obviously everybody got their panties in a wad over Kano, right? And we all said that it's the most unfun thing to play against, which yeah, but you have situations where it's like, correct. I do agree that it's much less than for RTNs than ProQuest, but I think it's still a decent number, if you will. So week 1, Kano won the most. Everybody said LSS couldn't count, and whatever. All that stuff happened. Which we quickly realized that Kano was actually good because he started winning some battle hards and stuff like that to kind of solidify that evidence that LSS can count. And Dash was number 2, which was very shocking to me personally. Dash being number 2 was kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I'm not going to lie. And then everybody expected KO to represent, and then Dromai, Victor, and Bravo may have surprised a little bit of people because I think a lot of people were on the mindset of why play Bravo if you could play Victor. And then we have the Warriors, right? So as we go to week 2, we see a major shift. Okay. Kano goes from the highest amount of wins, right? To basically, you can't go by like the hero, but like from 10 to 5, right? And so he basically dropped 4 spots, if you will, because all these are ties, so you have to count them as 1, and then these are ties, so you have to count them as 1, and so on, right? Bolton shot up unexpectedly. So did Bravo a little bit, and then Leviah made an appearance. Okay. Other than that, nothing. Dash completely fell off. Dash won 3. She went from 2nd to 3rd. Actually, I just thought about it. Let's take this hero by hero. I think that's a better way to do this because I think I'm asking a lot from the viewers to kind of just show basically I think I'm asking you a lot to like keep a mental of like, oh, this person was here and take my word for it kind of situation. So let's just go Kano. Week 1, top dog. Week 2, fell off. Week 3, still hanging out in the relatively the same spot. And then week 4, did not win a single RTN. Okay. So we have a straight negative trajectory for Kano, giving him a final spot of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he got 5th, is what this is showing. Okay. So 1st to 5th. Okay. And if it wasn't for the astronomical number that he won, right? Because there's 4 RTN difference, right? Between 1st and 2nd this week. And here it's 1, here it's 4, and here it's 1. So the heroes that have the biggest delta at the top are they just won so many that week that it's going to look a little inflated. So I think a more accurate representation would be if you kind of like, I don't know. I'm not comfortable saying that Kano is like 5th, right? Because the downward trajectory is so clear and so obvious, right? He should probably be in this range as far as like overall performance. He just won so many the first week that it kind of paints a different picture. All right, let's go to Dash. Let's kind of like tell the story. Gotta go to sleep. I'll check out the VOD. Absolutely. Thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. So Dash, we got starting out strong, completely falls off straight to the bottom. Not quite the bottom, but almost. And then literally falls off. She got 1 win. 1 win. And then she kind of crept back up. So basically, I think she had a spike week. And then she belongs here. Right? Simple as that. I'm not too high on Dash right now. But she has a very negative trajectory, which is why she finished really low in the final tally. Okay? Do you think it might have fallen off just because all the Kano mains won on week 1? I mean, I do understand what you're saying. I think it's an extremely valid point. There's just no way to measure that, right? Because, I think that's just a weakness in the data. But I do agree with you. I completely understand what you're saying. And what we can also do is let's see a trend of that and see if we can justify that trend to kind of answer that question. But we have to do that after we look at all the heroes. Okay, so let's go to number 3. KO hanging out at 3rd, but barely 3rd, right? He's basically tied for 2nd, hanging out, and then he's still 2nd. So he won 8, 9, 10, 8. So he basically stayed the same way the whole season, right? No real change. And because of it, he landed 2nd. So KO is doing something that's naturally powerful, consistent, and easy to do, right? That's basically what that says. I don't think there's much more to break down in regards to Kano, right? So next one, we're going to look at Dromai, kind of starting off okay, not anything crazy. Uh, Same relative spot. She went from uh, went from 7 to 7 to 14. Holy cow, to 9. Okay, so basically relatively consistent and just had a hard spike week, basically, is what happened. And that landed her at top. But basically, she did the KO thing, just had a really good week. So basically, I would say that Dromai and KO are basically relatively equal in regards to RTN representation and conversion and yeah, sorry. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. We have Victor kind of hanging out in the middle, and then he spiked to the top. So he went from Victor went from 7, although the spike looks very deceptive. He only went from 7 to 10, right? So I think week 1 it was much more spread out, and then week 2 everything condensed, right? There's like 5 5s, 3 7s, and here 2 7s, 2 5s. You see what I'm saying? So I think everything just consolidated week 2, which makes Victor's jump look way worse than it actually was. Okay? So he went from 7 to 10 down to 6 and at 5. So basically 7, 6, 5, and then 110. So basically the same consistency as KO and Dromai, just dropped down a little bit and had a spike, right? And that lands him third, if you will. And then this is actually, well, okay, we can't cover it yet. Bravo is starting out at 6, then goes, should stay relatively close to 6, 7. Drops completely off the map after on week 3, and then back to the same spot. So the same thing that KO and Dromai did, but instead of having a spike week, he just completely fell off for 1 week. And that's why he is going to show up a lot lower on the the total wins. Okay? And so it looks like everything other than Kano and Dash, these 4 heroes right here, KO, Dromai, Victor, and Bravo, have been pretty consistent. They've either just bombed a week or spiked a week, right? But the representation really hasn't changed. So there's no real data that we can extract. The Kano and the Dash one, I think, are very hard data points, basically. And so we'll go and go to the next. We got Dory coming in at 5, completely falls off. Then she goes to 4, and then 2. So just a downward trend, pretty much. And yeah, and then she did not land up in a great spot here, kind of right next to Dash. And then we have Kasai. I was expecting a lot from this hero, but very quickly after playing a lot of games into it, I realized that, I don't know, I think Kasai is just missing something. I don't think blood on her hands and the whole grindy application is just enough. In the meta currently, when Dromai leaves, she's a contender to be a great deck. But I don't think the payoff is there while Dromai's in the format. Kasai was at 5, stays at 5, goes up to 6. So basically the same. So she's just been like dirtling around 4 or 5 the whole way. So there's no data point there, right? She just stayed the same. Okay. Katsu. I think this is the most. I think Katsu is the real story is Katsu. Okay. And let me explain. Katsu is down here. Okay. 4 wins. Down here, 5 wins. Up to 7. up to 7. So we're kind of seeing a Kano situation, not as drastic, but we are seeing a strict upward trajectory, basically, right? And I think what happened is either week 1 or week 2 at the conclusion of it, there was that YouTube video that was posted. I forget who did it. I apologize for not being able to plug you here, but they made the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx Katu list, basically. They were the first ones. Pouncing Lynx has always been in Katsu for certain matchups like Icelander and stuff like that. But it's never been like the centerpiece, right? And I think what happened was that deck list got out after week 2, and then boom, Katsu is now performing. So I have a theory. I don't know if this is 100% foolproof, but it makes sense in my mind. If that deck was discovered in week 1, we would be at a KO situation. I think he would have just floated around the top, much like this situation, all 4 weeks. And he very well could have been either number 1 or number 2 or definitely number 3, and he still landed at 4. So not bad at all. But I think that if the deck list was discovered a little bit sooner, we would have saw a lot more come out of Katsu as far as like total finishes, right? Oh, we got Fresh and Bloods. What's up, man? And yeah, so I think that's like the most interesting story. Is I really think that this does not give just it doesn't do right by Katsu, because I think he's a lot better than where it's placed here. He just kind of had a disadvantage the first 2 weeks of the season, basically, because the preferred way to play the deck was not out to the public. Let's look at Azalea, kind of dirtling around at 3. Had a little bit of a spike to 5, not much though, and then came up to 8. Okay, and then disappears with 1 win. Okay. So this is kind of interesting. We have nothing or very little to higher to even higher. So we have a strong positive trajectory, right? And then vanished, right? Just gone. I don't know what happened. I can't. The only thing that I could possibly use to justify it is look at Azalea's placement on her 2 worst. The 2 Guardians are up here. And then go here. She goes above one of the one of the Guardians just disappears, right? Which is good for Azalea. And then here, Victor and Bravo drop off, so she does very well. And then here, Bravo and Victor do a little bit better, so she drops off. I think there's just a strong correlation between Guardian and Azalea. There's a lot of Guardian there. She's not going to do great. If there isn't, she's going to do fine. So I think that's the story of Azalea. Prism, I don't think there's much of a story. I think due to the very low amount of play, she stayed in the same spot. I do not think that represents her kind of like capabilities or ceiling. I think that there's just not a lot of players playing the deck. Therefore, the results are so few, an accurate data point can't be extracted from it, is all that means. And then we can go to the next one. I think all of these are going to be about the same. Let me just look through and see if we see any. We can touch on Levia. Let's hit Bolton. So first week, Bolton was nowhere to be found. I think he won 1 or maybe 2. Then he popped up to 8 and then dropped back down to 4 and then also at 4. So same thing, kind of really mid and had 1 spike week. I think he's just mid. And he has a mid placement. Wouldn't you know? We could look at Levia now. Levia is nowhere to be seen. Did really good. Nowhere to be seen. So just Leviat as a whole, just kind of not there. Simple as that. Rhinar, Azuri, and Phi, I think, are just not going to see any representation on the graphs. There's no data point. We had Rhinar spike a little bit here, but I don't think they're, yeah. Azuri or Rhinar are not really doing anything, which means they've just relatively been down there, right? So that I just wanted to give everybody a picture of like what happened from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. And I think the big takeaways from this part is that Kano had an amazing start and then just fell off a cliff. And same thing happened to Dash. Dash had a really strong start and then just disappeared. But the opposite happened with Katu. As soon as the deck list was linked, boom, he was putting up results, not wasting time. Everything else was basically consistent, whether they had a spike week or a bad week, whatever the case may be. Bravo had a bad week. Kasai had a bad week. Victor had a good week. KO literally was consistent. And then Drum Eyes on top because she had that one really good week. And same thing. And then KO was just downhill. So overall, as far as what people are playing, we can kind of assume that Kano is a little less exciting for a lot of players. I don't know if that's going to translate to like, is it better, is it worse, whatever the case may be. However, I think Kano just won the PTI with Majin Bay. Congrats to him for taking that down. And I think it made another top finish at another recent tournament as well. So, like, he's there. I just don't know how much people... I think the biggest problem is the meta is so open that you only have so many sideboard slots. And I think a lot of people are very hesitant to give those sideboard slots to a deck like Kano because it historically has had a low representation. So I think the Pro Tour, I expect a little bit different. I think people, like, everybody's going to win. I don't think you win the Pro Tour if you just completely, I mean, you can get lucky, but like, I think you have to have a good plan. It doesn't have to involve, it might be a cheeky Oasis or two just to kind of like catch them off guard on the big turn as you're putting on pressure and whatnot, whatever the case may be. All I'm saying is I think more people will have plans that are not just, oh, well, I got mashed into Kano for the Pro Tour specifically. Okay? So that's going to conclude the story of RTN season, right? And we kind of got some really good data points with Katu, Kano, and Dash. Some really good data points. I really wish we could compare win numbers to player numbers. I think that would be amazing if we could see top 8 representation, because if you actually want the absolute best data point, it's whatever deck is top seed after Swiss. That is theoretically your best data point. It is not who wins the event, because it's looking at over a series of 5 or 6 games. What is your record? You know, you won. Whoever's top seed theoretically should have won every one of those matchups, right? But the difference between 8th and 1st is 2 games, right? Or technically 3, I guess. Versus 6, right? And that kind of just tells a vastly different story, right? A vastly different story. And so if we could get those data points, that would be amazing. But that's just not... We used to get that data. We absolutely used to get that data. After you heal from... God, Donkle's unhinged. But Donkle, don't change. Don't change. So let's go ahead and go to... You guessed it. You guessed it. We're going to go ahead and do the tier list, because why not? We got to make people happy, right? We got to give the people what they want. And I'm going. I'm going to do my best to just legit put it out there what I think is the best deck, or what I think, the accurate number. No, no, you've never gotten psyops from me ever before, so we're not going to start today. Uh, Obviously, Betsy is the best deck in the form. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, so before I put Bravo in the top tier, I admit I was wrong. Simple as that. I think Bravo is exceptionally mid. I don't think he's horrible. He's probably somewhere along the lines of bottom of B. Tunic Bravo does decent things. There could be a fatigue variant that could perform a little bit better if it gets the correct matchups. But Bravo, as we know it, that Tunic, 4 for 8s kind of strategy, the Michael Hamilton list basically, that he won the Battle Hardened with, I would consider to be B tier. And then we'll just go like in order from sets. Reinar. I think Reinar is pretty good, but not amazing. I think I had him at the bottom of A tier in the last one, and I think he's in a very similar spot, to be honest. So I'm gonna put him here, but I don't think he's this high. I'm gonna put him maybe even in B, but definitely. Oh my God, the tier list guys. Runner. Oh man, so probably the bottom of A. We might even move him down to B, depending on what other heroes and how many we get in that category. Then we have who's next? Who's next? We got Dory. Dory, I put at the top of B, and I think I'm gonna move her to the bottom of A, ahead of Reinar. I think Dory can do some really good things. I think there's I think like a Dory build that has like a Decimator axe in the sideboard, and like does the Dawnblade thing, just normal Dory with Decimator. I think if you build it correctly, you get your ratios right, maybe favor one side a little bit more than the other, and get some good matchups. I think it's a really good deck, me personally. Then we can go to who's next? Katu. Katu. I think Katu is one of the best decks in the format. He might not be S tier, but I think he's S tier. I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna use one. I'm gonna limit myself with 3 S tiers, or else people will complain. Right? So when you're gonna beat the allegations and put Betsy and D tiers, I just got that, Siphon. Oh, you're in the Discord talking. I already know it. Okay. I think Katu is one of the best decks in the format. The ability to just be patient, play out the combo, double, triple bonds. You absolutely dumpster Dromai, which is, I think, most people's perception of the best deck right now. And you're just really good into it. You have a okay KO matchup, like you don't mind seeing it. And yeah, you're just doing really. Guardian's a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Guardian can be a little tricky, but I think that Katsu is definitely up there. Definitely up there. Going into Arcane Rising, let's go ahead and go to Azalea. I think Azalea is A tier. I'm going to move Reinhardt down to B tier. I'm getting too many A's. I'm going to put Azalea ahead of Dory. I think she's a perfectly fine pick. Not the best deck in the format, but she's close. She's close to that tier, and I think she does some very powerful things. Dromai is an okay match. You don't mind it. Katsu, I'm going to let people formulate their own opinions on that one. But all I'm saying is a little scary when you ain't got armor. That's all I'm saying. You just up and die if you're not careful. But, Yeah, and then Kano, you have a lot of. If you have like a couple sedation shots on top of Seek and Destroy and laced with inertia, you're like sitting pretty, right? Yeah, Katsu is a good deck. Katsu is a real good deck. I don't know about the best. I'm just going in order. It's not like I didn't put him there as like, oh, that's the best deck in format. I'm just saying he's really good. He's really good. Um, and then we got we got Azalea Viscera. In case you guys didn't know, we just completely skipped over Viscera, and that's for a good reason. And so yeah, there's like nothing. I mean, you can do the whole sit back and make rune chance. You're gonna beat the Guardians and Kasai. Azalea will run you out of D-Rex and kill you. You mess up your blocks one time against Katsu, you're dead. And D-Reacts aren't very good against Kodachis either. Yeah, I just don't know what you're beating up here. You get dumpstered by Kano. Yeah, just not looking good for Vis, even doing the Durdling thing. So other Arcane Rising, I had Dash at the top of A, kind of maybe mid A for the last tier list that I did. I'll admit I was wrong. I was wrong. I think Dash is pretty mid. If you go slab, you're losing to probably a good Azalea, even with the heavy D react count. And once again, Kodachis, man, they're one hell of a drug. And you might be able to beat up on KO, but I think a good Levi is going to take you down, even trying to fatigue him or do your value based game plan. A good Dromai is going to kill you. I think Hybrid is actually the best version of Dash right now, and it's iffy. It's iffy. But yeah, once again, where I place the hero at currently. Oh god, they got Nick going in. Do you have a list? Do you have a list? Nick, I expected more from you. Let's go and go to the next one. I think the last one from that set would be Kano. I think Kano is in a good spot. I don't think anybody can deny it. I think as the player level increases, I think Kano gets a little worse. It's not as bad as the drop off from Dory, so it might even be better than Dory. But like as you start playing against really good, like so many players get baited by like the Lesson in Lava on the Kano player's turn with no card in hand when the only thing that they're going to go search for is a blue. But they get scared because the Kano player gets to pick up their deck and tutor. But the only thing that makes sense in that situation is either to get a combo piece if they don't have it to then put an arsenal, which means you got 2 turns, or they're just grabbing a blue. And like the higher level player that you play against, they're gonna know these things. So now we can move on to Tales of Aria. That's done. We can go to Monarch. We have Bolton and Levia. So I made it to the finals with Bolton at an RTN. So I have to think that he's like the shit with a bag of chips, right? That would be incorrect. After doing really well at the event, I was actually much worse or much more down on Bolton than I was previously. I think he's okay. I think he does something cool, but there's some like scary things in the format. Dromai is bad. Kano's rough. Azalea's scary as shit. Katsu's okay. Katsu's fine. You have, depending on what build you're on, perfectly fine. The other warriors can get you. So like already, all of A is going to dumpster Bolton, right? Historically. If you got something new, something spicy, congratulations. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, so then we're going to go on to the next one, which would be what we just get done talking about Bolton. So that leaves Levia is the next one. Levia is basically going to. I put her literally in S tier when I made my tier list last time. I don't think. I don't know. I've seen some really good players play Levia, and let me put it this way. I think Levia is S tier, but I think that the hero variant is going to give her A tier results. Okay, I think she's S tier behind a good pilot, but I think she's going to get A tier results due to just shit happens, right? I think that's the. I think that's where she'll end up a landing kind of situation. I want to put her in S because I've seen what she can do, but yeah, not great, not great. So we have Levia, and then so we're done with Monarch because we did Levia and Bolton, and Chain and Prism are gone. So next we have Uprising, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because it's Everfest and then Uprising. Icelander's obviously gone, so we got Dromai and Fi. Fi is so mid, it's not even funny. For obvious reasons, if you want a ninja, play this one. You're not really beating anything with Fi right now. You're just not. Dromai. I don't think this is going to surprise anybody. This is a really good deck. It's winning a lot of RTNs. Yeah, like I don't know how else to. I don't know how else to put it. Dromai is just really good. Simple as that. You have a decent matchup spread. You're bad into Katsu, but like anything else, like the brutes are a skill check. Like if you're an average Dromai player, you're going to be 35% into the brutes, and it's a bad deck. But we're talking like the top of the top. Somebody that has mastered Dromai. I think KO's a 50-50. If I'm being 100%, maybe 52% for KO. Maybe. Maybe. Levia, same situation, right? Like the brute matchups are not as bad as people are putting on at the highest level. But like I said, if you're just average or below on Dromai, the matchup is horrible. It's horrible. You're okay in a Kano. You farm warriors all day. And yeah, like your next bad matchup going down the list is Reinar. Like you're fine, right? Dromai's good deck, and Fi is not. So that sums up Uprising. Then we have to go into our Arachne, right? From Dynasty. I got a lot of respect for Arachne, but not doing it. Not doing it. Actually, probably better than Bets. No. No. Can't do it. I can't do it. F tier for Fi. I mean, literally could be. Literally could be. Next set is going to be Outsiders, which means we have Riptide and Azuri. Okay. Riptide is. Who else are we putting in D tier? I'm trying to make it like somewhat even, right? Except for the top tier, because if I go past 3 in S tier, then you know everybody jump on you at Twitter on Twitter. So I'm gonna put Riptide. I'll put Riptide in D tier, but close to the top. I mean, he does an aggro thing. He's okay, but like not really where you want to be, right? Um, ba, ba, ba. Sorry, give me 1 second, chat. Okay. So next, we have Azuri. Now, Azuri's an interesting one, right? Because it just came off with a win. Although, not to take anything away from the person that won, congrats to them. They deserve it because that's how the game ended. But and in all fairness, it was like a horrible matchup, right? So just because the other person misplayed doesn't take anything away from it. But I think Azuri is like a fine pick. I don't. It's not S tier. No shot. It's S tier. But I do see a situation where, much like where I placed her in the previous tier list, I think I had her at the bottom of A. I think that's a respectable place, either bottom of A, top of B kind of situation. We'll put her there, and then wherever the heroes come in after that, we'll go from there. And we'll kind of like move around a little bit. Other than that, we can go past Outsiders and go into, what is it, Dust Till Dawn. So we get Old Vinset. Old Vinset. You're not the worst hero in the game. You know what? I'm a Runeblade man, and I've been like shitting on Runeblade for quite some time now. So I'm gonna give a little bit of love to Runeblade. They're not at the bottom anymore, chat. Okay, I tell you what, we'll go above and beyond. We'll make us a little Runeblade sandwich at the bottom. How about that? Okay. There's a lot of defense in the format right now, and anybody that just sits back and like she has a fatigue problem that she has to worry about, it's just not what I would want to be going into at a Pro Tour level event. At a call, I would play Vincent at like a Battle Harden or a PTI event, maybe, but calling or higher, no shot. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't play a Battle Harden, but I would understand if somebody did and why they did. What's got Dash IE so low? Well, Dash IE. So Shamir, basically the thought process is, I think Dash is actually a little pretty good into Kano, if we're being honest. His reading ability. No, I understand. So Dash, I think, is oak. I think hybrid is the best version. I think I know enough about it to confidently say that that's the best version of the deck, not slab. And there's just some iffy matchups. I think like Levia and Azalea. Dromai is probably not that bad for Dash. Katsu not having access to D-Reacts. I mean, you can't play Pistol Plan if you're hybrid into Katsu. You're just asking to lose. You're just giving them enough time to kill you, is all you're doing. To be honest, the reason that she's great into Kano, but like, I wouldn't say any of these matchups at the top here yet, other than Kano, would be considered favorable, right? And out of all of these heroes, I think Kano will have the lowest representation. So that's my theory basis, right? That's basically, I think she's very mid into almost everything. And then she has like one or two that she's good into, but then she has quite a few, like the Warriors can be troublesome. Yeah, I guess it's more of a I can't find a reason to play her kind of situation, if I'm being honest. Curious what you're going to put Kasai. It feels like her and Azuri have almost the same matchup chart. I'm not too high on Kasai right now, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I'm bringing a printout of your tier list to the PT and lay it out as I'm sideboarding. Fair. Can't see that so far. Yeah. Circle back when you placed Victor. All right. You got a good point. Dash good into Dromai. Totally. Um, I don't know about good. I mean, it's not bad. I know it's not bad. Eh, it's probably okay in a Dromai. Um, so next, we talked about Dash. Where was I? I think I just placed Vincent. So now we need to do Prism. Okay. So previously, I had her in the A tier. Okay, and I was very confident in that placement. What about 4 weeks ago or so? And then as the weeks went on, my confidence in her decreased. Okay. And then I had a session with a player that I don't want to name because I don't know if they want to be named. But he reinstilled my confidence in that hero and in their ability. So I think Prism is a fantastic deck right now. Like really good. Like really good. Droma playable, but Dash unfavored into her. Yep. It's pretty bad against the Tone Bill. Yep. A tier, Katsu runs, knick-knack. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. So yeah, I think she's still an A tier. I think there's no. She's definitely not S. Because I don't know. It takes a hell of a pilot. Simple as that. Memes erupt. Memes erupt. Yeah, I'm sticking to this one. I'm sticking to this one. The Prism's good. It's Jover. That's right. That's right, Shamir. All right. So we're done with Dusk Till Dawn. Now we have to go on to Bright Lights. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Dash IO is horrible. I think we have to go here, here, here. A little Bright Lights segment, if you will. I never thought that I would put. I mean, okay, I'll be nice to old Dash and I'll put her above Max, but I would say that the one thing that I was most wrong about on my last tier list was I had Max in either B or A. I don't remember. But he is not. He is not. All D. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna honestly. If I'm being 100% honest, Vero, I think these two are D tier heroes. I just have too many, but they are D tier. They are D. If I'm being 100% honest with you, chat, it basically, I think that they are absolutely bad. Tekla he he's not good, okay, but he does a thing, and the thing works in the format a little bit, so I can respect it. It's kind of like the Riptide thing when Lexi was around, right? Like Riptide would dumpster Lexi, right? But like that's all he did, and so, but sometimes it was enough, right? So Tekla does a thing, and the thing is a little good in the format right now, which is why I got him in C. That show actually has a pretty good Dromai matchup. Yeah, but I think that here there's so much defense in the format right now, and I know you can hyper scrapper for 2,700. What I know how that whole thing works. I think that there's just so much disruption, send packings, and item destruction from the brutes. Although it's not that bad against IO because there's a lot less investment in each item. But if I'm playing Dash IO, Dromai is okay. You're getting dumpstered against Katsu. You're getting destroyed against Azalea. Levi is gonna dumpster you. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I don't know how this one goes. Same here. But it's just not looking good for old girl. Simple as that. Hybrid Scrapper for 27. Okay, I'll go to 10. Yeah, that sums it up. That sums it up. Everybody's blocking right now, and boom grenades are not happening. That's all you need to know. So that sums up Bright Lights. She had a really good time in the sun, but that time is it's gone. It's gone. And so we have our 4 new heroes. I know he went 9-0. Congratulations, but it's just not the case anymore. Simple as that. Congrats to whoever did it. It's quite the feat. And that's coming from somebody that loves Hatchet Storinthia, right? It's basically the same thing. I think it's a little worse, me personally. Don't tell Josh, but next we can hit on Kasai. So originally I had her in A tier. I don't think she's in A tier. I think the hero is exceptionally fun to play. I think she does something powerful. I just don't think it's powerful enough. And in a defensive format, it's like I think Kasai will thrive in a meta where she's forcing people to play at her speed. But most of her matchups, they're already playing at her speed, which means they have more D reacts. They have, the problem with like the actual raw output from Kasai is it's reliant on your spoils of war hitting, right? Sure, you can outland skirmish a copper or two every now and again, but there's a lot of defense in the format, and yes, Kasai can ground you out. I respect it, but I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I mean, Vera's got a good point. Man's about to put Dorian A, but not Kasai. All right, he caught me on that one. If I'm saying that the format's too defensive, then he's got a point. There's a lot of D reacts. You can disrespect Dory. So I kind of have to put him like this. Like that. There we go. Now they're both in B. How about that? Look at that. We put all the warriors that matter in one little section. Poor Olympia. Then we have KO. I think it's fair to say that that KO is going to go and take the last S tier spot, if you will, to kind of finish forming the triangle, if you will. And then, and I don't need to speak on this, right? He's performed consistently, he has good numbers, and he basically just he does good numbers. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for? He has a couple on-hit effects, CNC if you choose to run them, and then he has the Sin Packing. But Flesh Bag is, it's a hell of a drug, but all the brutes have it. And then we have Victor, which would probably be either here or here. Also, I will make a slight caveat that you could probably swap Victor and Katsu or something like that, right? Actually, I'm not going to lie to chat, I want to swap Victor and KO. No finishing power. Let me get caught up in chat real quick. Kasai right behind Kano? I don't know. This is why you pay me to be here, but I don't. Draw my matchup is bad. It's not even a go get lunch matchup. Dory's actually fair in a Dromai. Yeah, it gets tougher if the Dromai knows what they're doing and they don't play their dragons out for a cycle. But I agree. I can't have Dory ahead of Kasai. I will concede that point 100%. Man, about to put Victor and Katu in A and S, and have Azalea A tier with Prism. No finishing power. Oh man, dude. Levia over KO. I do agree. At the highest level being played, I 100% agree with the notion that Levia is better than KO. I 100%. You know what? I, I'm gonna do it. I do agree with, like, and I said that. I said that I wanted to put her in S tier because she does extremely powerful things, but the variance is going to take her to A tier. I really do believe that, yeah, that Levia is better than KO. I do agree with that. We keep answering the questions. Levia is the best brute. KO overrated. I do agree, 100%. You cannot have Levia, Victor, Katsu, and Prism in A and keep Azalea there. Okay. I will admit, the Katsu matchup into Azalea is sus for Azalea. Historically, it was the other way, but now it's kind of sus. And Prism is sus as well. Victor's bad. You have a good point. I don't know. I believe in Azalea. I think she's fun. Oh, law, don't do just in time for PT meta manipulation stream. If only. If only. Victor, real good against Katsu. Of course. Of course he is. Kasaya feels fine in Takatsu, KO, Victor, Levia, and Azuri, but bad in Dromai, Prism, and Kano. The problem is, it is horrible into Dromai, and I don't think with the new Pouncing Lynx build, Dynamos is not saving your ass, right? Like, they're either killing you, like, you're not getting his, like, a whole bunch of values from your Dynamos if they're playing the match correctly. They are either doing 30 damage or barely attacking you. And so your Dynamos are just not, and you don't have that offensive pressure because you're built very mid-rangey tempo based, right? Block with the D-React here, so forth. How are the Bright Lights hero not D tier or lower? So what I mentioned was when I placed them there, I said that they were D tier. I just didn't want to make one really long line of D tier heroes. So they're there in spirit, if you will. Kasai has 10 more wins than most of A tier. 10 more wins? She's down here. She's at 20. I have Azalea next to her, which is about the same. I have Kano next to her, which is higher. Katsu higher. Victor higher. KO higher. Dory lower because Dory is lower. I have Dash lower. Levia, but I think that's a skill thing. That's not a hero-based thing. And Prism, same exact thing. And Azuri as well. Those three heroes are the exception because it's a skill-based hero. We should see the Tower Shard data. I have that right here, and we will get to that. That is the next step of this. I'm going to use that to kind of paint the picture as well. What is Azalea good into? The Dromao matchup is fine. I don't like the Katsu matchup. The Levia matchup is fine. The KO matchup is fine. The Victor matchup is bad. The Kano matchup is fine. Prism is bad. And Azuri is actually not that bad. So really, you're just kind of like almost 50-50 into almost all of the top field, with the exception of Guardian. You're going to be bad into Guardian. My favorite thing about Azalea, and it might just be I'm a little bit biased for it, but I think Azalea kind of like represents exactly what you should be doing in a format like this. When it's this wide open, you should just do something powerful and see if your opponent has an answer to it, instead of just trying to have a pocket full of 20 answers, right? So that's why I have her so ranked. I'll admit that not all of it is based on data or testing. I just think that her strategy and her game plan fits really well into an open meta. And that's why I'm placing her that high. But yes, I agree. If you look at the matchups and you do the integral, you take the derivative and do all that, yeah, she's probably B tier. But it's my fucking tier list, and I'm putting her in A. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so go into because her good match aren't as good. Yep. Horrible in Decano. Disagree. If we're talking about Azalea, Kasai should be A tier. Oh, that makes sense. We should see the tower shot. Yep, we're going to get into that. Azalea feels more like a gatekeeper, dominating out of the game. Yep. Nathan loves decks. They have a handful. That's... You caught me. You caught me. It's the closest thing to a good room blade that we have. I had to specify. We have room blades. They're just not... Viscerai needs to hurry up wherever he's going. Okay. So let's cross-check what we have here with the Tower Shard data. Okay. Now, let's go and go over there. Like I said, I came prepped. The window already open to the chart. It's on the right time. We're looking at March data, the most relevant. 72,000 games recorded in the month of March in 13 days. Let's just pause for a second. That means that literally, what? 13, like 5. That's a like what, 5,000 games a day are being played on Talishar? 5,000 games of Flesh and Blood played on Talishar every single day. Let's just take this time to give a little bit of a shout out to the people over at Fabrary, to the people running Talishar, because it's a passion, ran project, right? And it's truly amazing what they have put together for literally no other reason than they're just passionate about the game, just like we are. So big shout out to them. Anybody that's associated with Fabrary or Fabrec or Talishar, absolutely love what they're doing. It's absolutely amazing. 5,000 games a day. Absolutely love it. Okay, so let's look at this data. And okay. One thing that you have to look at when analyzing this data. The two most important buttons on this page are the most played button and the time period. Okay, you obviously want the most recent data. But this button right here, and let me explain why it's so important to look at this data, right? Is because if something has a we'll look at Dromai, right? Or that's probably not a good example. Let's look at Dory. If we look at just raw win percentage and nothing else factored, which is this column right here, the summation, right? Dory is the tied for the second best hero. Now you might say, what? What? We didn't put her in S tier. Why is Dory tied for the second highest win rate on Talishar? And the answer is my Hatchet story list got leaked. No, I'm just kidding. No, the real answer is I'm going to show you how to look at this data accurately. If you look at the hero and kind of try to look at what matchups are being played more often, right? And that's going to factor in. So, as an example, the most played matchup that Dory is playing is against KO. That makes sense. There's a lot of KOs, right? And that's literally accounting for 1/8, because there's 8,000 total games roughly, and almost 1,000 of them are KO. So 1/8 of her games on Talishar are favorable matchups. So of course she's gonna have like a higher win rate, right? That's to be expected, right? Oh, Prism's her worst matchup. It's also one of the least played matchups. Because if you wanted to be technical, Prism has a 40% matchup into Dorian has a 40% matchup into Prism. And now, granted, you don't have to look at the data like this if you think that the rate of Talishar play will translate to Pro Tour representation. If you think that the both are equal, then you just unclick this button and this number is king. Okay? Right here. But if you think a lot of people are playing, I don't know, let's look at just what this right here is, just like how much the hero is being played, right? So we can see that Victor's played a lot, almost 12,000 games, right? That's probably just under KO. Yep, 15,000, 8. So Victor's like the second most played hero. Well, if you don't think that to be true, then you have to kind of you should weigh less all the results from Victor, basically. Is basically how it would break down. But it's very important to look at the representation within the data and look at, same thing here. 900 games, only 700. So therefore, it's going to look a little bit better because she's playing more of her favorable matchups on Talishar. It's as simple as that. But anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and just look at the data. Okay. So we said, I wish there was a way to just do it by week. Philip at Fabrary. Is that something we could do? Is that something we could do? Like break it down by like day or week? You obviously have month. I know that might be asking a lot. I don't know. Maybe like put a button that says day, month, year, week. And then you just select that and then boom, there. I don't know if you're going to see this, but that's just an idea or a recommendation if it's possible. Of course it's possible. Anything. No. So the two highest win rates are Victor or the three highest are Victor, Dorinthia, and Dromai. Okay? Now, Victor and Dromai kind of, coincide with the fact that I have them placed really highly with right here and here. Also, Dory's numbers are a lot higher on Talishar simply because the most games played by any hero or is KO by a mile, and that's a favorable matchup for Dory. So, in case anybody's wondering, basically the Warriors beat up on KO. Everybody else is like 50-50 or higher. And apparently Riptide. But the Warriors beat up on KO. I don't know if that secret is out, but it is now. Other than that, yeah, let's go ahead and go back. So we got Victor up there. What was controversial? Kasai, right? Kasai was a controversial. And the win rate would indicate that I am possibly wrong. Okay, so we have to dig into the data, right? Because she is technically at 54%, what, fourth place? Right? Yeah, she is fourth place by Talishar numbers. So let's look at what she's playing against. Oh, she's playing against a lot of KO games, which she is favored. Okay. How many of her bad matchups are she playing? Oh, her worst matchup is what, Prism, and she's only played 400 games of it. But all the green circles are much bigger than the red. So I think this is just a factor. Even Dromai, she's only played 400 games of. Whereas this is 450, 900, 450, 400. That's a 50-50, so it doesn't matter. But I really think the KO number is just creating a situation with the data where everything is exaggerated. And which is valid because historically KO has been the quote-unquote most represented deck. But I think that is vastly changing. I do not think KO will be the most represented deck at Pro Tour. I do not think it will be. I think people are smart enough not to be on that deck. That's my personal opinion. Which is why I actually moved KO away from the actual top tier. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, I actually like putting KO below Victor. I don't know. It does something cool. It's consistent. It's easy to do. But it's just not doing enough. Simple as that. Right. And also, when you are factoring in Tower Shard data, any deck that has a higher skill ceiling, or skill floor, if you will, I know it's a large sample size, but you really have to give credit to that, right? Like Kano being 48 and winning Battle Hardens left and right? Like that's not accurate. It just isn't. And you can look at Prism the same way, right? Well, Prism's 52. She's doing all right. But what's another like high skill? Leviah. There is no way that Leviah should be at 46%. It's just a very hard deck to play. It's as simple as that. Phi, this is the realest number on the planet. That is an easy deck to play, and it sucks. Look at that. Who knew? Azalea's kind of difficult, but she's got a good win rate. Just saying, chat. Just saying. Okay. So, we made the tier list. I'm gonna say finally. Let's double check. Let's double check our work before we get screenshot and then they post it on Twitter and say, "Oh, he said this." Okay. We're gonna show Kasai a little bit more respect, not a lot more. I really don't want to move Azuri down though. All right, Shamir. This one's for you. This one's for you. Okay. That's actually a good point, chat. The Katu data is a little bit skewed because the reason I wanted to break it down by day or week is if you showed a 1 week data instead of 2, I think the Katu win rate would be astronomically higher. But there's no way to do that. I think that Katu's numbers would be astronomically higher if you could just break it down by even the day or the week, because the deck didn't really get discovered till about 2 weeks ago or so, and then people have to learn it, right? So this past week, I'm telling you, people probably been killing it on Katsu. I'm willing to bet. So I'm locking him in. I'm locking him in. I think he's really good. I think he's really good. Some consistency problems, but I think the strategy just kind of like plays really well. To be honest, if I was at LA, I'd be on the Kasai and on the Dodge Kano train. Most Katsus are bad. I can't speak for that, but I know it's a difficult deck to play. I do know that. The first time I tried the triple bonds, I looked like I needed a software update. I was thinking so hard. Other than that, I agree. Really, like, you could swap those. I could see that. You could do like something like this. I wouldn't hate you for it. Everybody's disagreeing with me, but I'm holding strong on Azalea. I think she's a perfectly fine pick for the tournament, and then so on. And yeah, Dash maybe go up here. Yeah, I'll lock this in. Final answer. Final answer. All right, chat. So that brings me to the last part of the stream. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. We still got like another 30 minutes or so. But the last section of what I wanted to cover and talk about is I really wanted to go over each hero and just kind of talk about a little bit about the hero and kind of like, you should consider this, look out for this kind of, situation like that. Just to kind of like, maybe I'm not going to make your sideboard for every single hero, but I just want to like maybe get you in the right direction or things to think about and consider. Do not take this too heavily. Don't let me scare you off something or anything like that. Just Berserk combo Reinhardt, no shot. No shot. It was cool. It was badass, but I'm not playing it. I got respect for him just playing it. Simple as that. All right, Dromai. Obviously, you have the battle of whether to play the big dragon list or the more aggressive version. And it's interesting, right? I think that the aggressive version is going to be a little bit better into Katsu, probably a little bit worse into the brutes. I think the life gain from Tome of Findale is actually huge into the brutes. I think it plays a very important role. But more importantly, I think that the more aggressive you go with your Dromai list, you're slightly favored in the mirror, which I think is the biggest data point. Yes, I know what deck I'm playing right now, Austin. I locked in this morning. So, and I will tell you it's in either S or A tier. I'll tell you that much. Who is your dark horse player? You want me to name a player? You want me to name a player for the Pro Tour? I don't think it's a dark horse. But as far as I think that if I had to call out a player that I'm expecting huge things from, that has not had a bunch of like top finishes. Like I could easily say like Lucas Oswald, right? Like everybody knows he's doing really well. Michael Hamilton, that's such an Brody Spurlock, Fang, all those, right? We know they're gonna do good. But if I had to like name somebody that like just hasn't had a bunch of top finishes, but I know is a very, very strong player, I'm going Pat Eshby from Team Runaways. I think this is his tournament. I don't know what he's playing. I know what he has historically been playing, and I think it's a fantastic deck. And I think it's going to line up, and I think he's going to do great things. So I'm rooting for Pat. I think he's going to kill it. Me personally, that'd be my dark horse player, if you will. I'm going to try to break the bubble, but we'll see. We'll see, chat. So Dromite, basically, I think it comes down to the mirror. What do you want more of an edge, or is there any tech that you have that could help win the mirror kind of situation? I think that should be your biggest concern. I don't think you should be like, oh, into Victor, this is better, or into Prism, this is better. I really think the mirror is the biggest consideration because it's probably going to be the biggest margin, if you will. Katsu. Learn to be patient. I think you really need to be patient with Katsu. I think that's a very important part. That's like the part that people have to like get used to. At the same time, very quickly understand when you are in a position to. There's a lot of spots where you have to recognize that you need to high roll. And I think a good Katsu player sees those and executes them, right? Whether it wins them the game or not, they just realize that they have to make that decision to have a chance at winning the game. And I think that's where you leverage the most advantage with that hero. Lavaya. I think you need to be ready for rogue fatigue plans specifically. I think you need to have that game plan ironed out. I don't care what it entails. I don't care if it's playing the same Howl from Beyond 37 times in a game, or if it's double Death Hydra. I don't know, right? But whatever your clearly I'm not playing Lavaya. Whatever your strategy is, right? Against fatigue, it needs to be a good one. And you also need to get a lot of reps into players that understand you need cards in the graveyard. If you're playing against somebody and they don't have a damn good reason and they are attacking you on turn 0, stop that game and move on, right? You have to have a very, very good reason to attack into a Lavaya on turn 0, right? And if that's happening in your testing, get reps from somebody else. So they just don't understand what's happening. Victor, you have to basically decide whether you're giving up Kano or you want to slightly respect it. I don't think one's particularly better than the other. As far as you have to realize that KO is a little rough. But really work on that Dromai matchup. Also, have a game plan for like Decimator Warrior builds. Be ready for that. I don't expect too much of it. Just have a rep or two into it. I would really recommend people having a game plan into that. Also, Azalea. It's not difficult. It's a favorable matchup, but it feels a little different than Bravo if that's where you're coming from because you don't have that many D-Reacts to really lean on. So just understand that. Even if you respect Kano, Victor, you're just losing, right? When I say do you want to respect Kano or not with Victor? Against a top tier Kano, you're not winning either one. However, if you have AB3 and you're playing against an average or below Kano, you can beat him. And we're going to the Pro Tour, though. It's not really an RTN or something like that. So you should assume that everybody is a high caliber. So, yeah. Kano, everybody and their mama is going to have Oasis. Be ready for it. I don't know what else to say. Prism, good luck. You know more about it than I do. I'm just going to leave it at that. Kasai, you need to know what your game plan looks like without copper. I'm going to put it that way. If you're still performing good, then congratulations. But I think that people have quickly realized that the second you play Spoils of War, or they should be parking some defensive option if they have them in Arsenal, and then whenever you play Spoils of War, you have it there to stop the copper generation. It's the appropriate way to play that matchup. It doesn't always line up like that, but that's one of the things you should be playing toward. Azuri, you need a Planet to Dromai. Simple as that. I've heard people say that Empress versions is not that bad, but to each his own. And Levia, understanding when to disrupt, very important. Or when to pressure and when not to. You would have to assume that people bring Canada. Yeah, well, because of course, absolutely. Yeah, always have to assume. Dory, everybody's gonna have D reacts, so have your twinning blade. If you're on Dawn Blade, have 3 of them. You need to be on grains, so that way, if you do have reprise dependent cards, you can at least put them into resources for the next turn. Yeah, I agree with you, Vera. You definitely shouldn't be respecting it. It's not a very positive EV. Bolton. The brutes have Sin packing. You need to get a lot of reps into that and understanding. I'm assuming you're on combo, and you need to really understand the play lines that delineate when your arsenal can be disrupted. It's normal combo situations. There's just more cards that punish you. Hell, people are running Humble, and combo wise, there's no difference between Humble and a CNC, right? It's going to stop your combo unless you can block it, because you need to give your shit go again, right? And that's just how it is. Dash. You need to have a solid plan to Dromai. Play the Katsu when I'm telling you. Play it. It's scary. It is scary. Reinar, I see a lot of people on this Intimidate, like the 9 barragings and a bunch of other stuff. Like a might. The problem with that deck is you're so low value outside of the triple Intimidate turns that I don't necessarily know that you're anywhere above the normal axis of value when you combine the two, right? You're getting 12 value every turn from blocking or whatever, and then you get 15, and it's not really that exciting. So, yeah. The rest of the heroes, I just don't think you should be playing. I mean, Bravo's fine. Nothing's changed with Bravo. I'm still waiting for somebody to make like a vigor-based Bravo build. That's like Tunic on crack, right? Like you play like Test of Vigors and stuff like that, to where you can play like a lot more of the 4-for-8s on a whim, and you don't have to like sit them in Arsenal and wait on it. I'm waiting for that build. Interesting. Yeah. So that's I just wanted to give people some ideas. Nothing. I didn't want to dive too deep. Like I said, I don't want to make everybody sideboard for them. But like, just wanted to give some ideas on what to be on the lookout for. Really, in an open meta, the number one thing is you just need to do something that's somewhat linear. You don't need to be really doing. You don't really need to be doing something that is trying to answer every single deck in the format when there's just too many. Simple as that. There's just too many decks in the format to be able to answer every single one of them. Yeah, so I'm just going to open up chat. If you have any questions or want to chat about something, let me know now. We'll chat for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. I'll answer any questions. I'm all yours. And then when we dry up on interaction/questions, I'll close us out. Play Fi if you want to be the first to the restroom every round. No, you should play Fi if you want to be the first to the side events. Is what you should be doing if you want to play Fi. If you really want to make those side events, you should play Fi. The deck is in a horrendous spot. I don't care if you're on the Kodachi 1 for 5 or it's just bad. It is just bad. Yeah. So any questions? Feel free. Throw them in chat. Let me see if I had any on Twitter. Okay, no, we're good. I already answered. There was one question where, what's the biggest dark horse deck? We named player. I need to go over a dark horse deck, and I think that would be. I mean, by definition, the way chat thought I was crazy, it would have to be Azalea, but I don't consider that a dark horse. So I would have to go. I'm going to say Dorinthia. That's my guess. Which is the same dark horse from the first tier list. So things aren't changing, right? What got you to say Katsu is S tier? I just think the Pouncing Lynx build is absolutely insane. It does something that is... Well, I don't consider Katsu a dark horse. I think he's one of the best decks in the format. And if anybody's done any testing, they have to at least be like... You don't have to say he's the best, but you got to say he's like a good deck. You just got to. But I'm going Dory. I'm going Dory with my dark horse pick. You are the only creator / team who put it high in their tier list. Katsu? Well, I don't know what teams made what. But also the timing of the tier list is very important, right? Because we have to look at it time-wise, right? The deck was leaked halfway through RTN season. So somebody would have to take the deck, and if they don't have Katsu experience, put in at least a week to like really see what the deck could do. And then you could make an accurate representation. So if the tier list that you're saying didn't place him that high was made in the past week or made longer than a week ago, then like that's why they didn't have enough time to really get to it and analyze it. So, I mean, that's what I think. Do you think there's an advantage to be gained by surprising people with strange builds like mid-range Saber Bolton with combo variant or KO that switches between Blood Rush Bell plan and Cast Bones plan? Well, I think that those shouldn't be. I think you do both with KO in the same 60. However, uh, there is an advantage. I will say that the advantage of doing something crazy really diminishes the more open the meta is. Like, as an example, or I take that back. It just depends, right? Like, you have to build a deck that basically, when your opponent sits down, thinks you're going to do one thing and you do the complete opposite. And if you can do that, then doing something quote unquote off the walls is typically worth it at a large event. But if it's just something that's different, but then the strategy that the opponent plays doesn't really change, I don't think there's any world where it's worth it. Like the Earthbriar is a great example, right? I made the deck for the Goliath Gauntlet in March of last year, and Dagan and a couple other people saw that and then played it at the Indianapolis Calling, and then we never saw anything about the deck until US Nats. Boom, won the event. Nobody knew. Boom, out of nowhere, right? The only time you would see it is like very vaguely on Talishar. Very vaguely. Let me get caught up in chat. Katsu isn't the dark horse. Yeah, I mean, I think people just know Katsu's good. I think people just know. As a Prism player, hearing that someone has kept your confidence in her up is quite gratifying. Yeah, I think she's good. I played against a player. I'm not going to name them unless they want to be named. But they, I will tell you they have very good plans into every single matchup. And I know they're a good enough player to be able to execute it. And I think they'll be just fine. Is someone actually just Unga Bunga Dory right now? I don't think so. Like it's scary. Glistening is a hell of a card. Or this thing that you can't know of if the Dromai is aggro or Big Dragon. Well, see, Big Dragon and aggro, like, it's not that different for your game plan, right? I guess if you're trying to fatigue them, it's pretty different, right? Because then one's list is going to have at max 1 Remembrance in Empress or the aggressive one. And then Big Dragon can have anywhere between 2 or even 3 Remembrances. And all I'm going to say is good luck fatiguing that if that's your game plan. So it really just depends, to be honest. But yeah. I'm bringing solo Iris Prism to PT. Good luck. No, you're not. No, you're not, Jason. Are you really? Are you really, Jason? Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. The reason I can't read the sarcasm in that is you played Stony Wootenhog Dromai and made it work. Like, that's the crazy part. So I'm like, if anybody can do it, it's Jason. That's all I'm saying. If anybody can do it, it's Jason. And I already know that Naib's going to be on, like, Talishar Arachne or something that, like, plays Art of War and Flock. I don't know. Like, oh, man. He's going to be... Naib is my favorite deck builder in Fab. We think so much alike. It's actually crazy. Kano is going to be most represented deck. Yeah, no. Kano's not going to be the most represented deck. I don't know about that. Dark Horse Fi, no shot. No shot. Fi is the dark horse in the side events. What is about Dory that makes her your dark horse? The fact that she, in one deck, can go so turtle and so offensive in 80 cards. That is why I think she does. I think that's why she can do it. Is because if you guess wrong and you load up D-Reacts thinking it's Dawnblade and you run into a Great Axe, I wish you the best of luck. She's one of the few heroes in the game that can just say, look, I'm going to make you guess. It's kind of like an Oldhim effect. You don't know if the Oldhim's going to like flip over a Stalagmite, try to race you a little bit. You don't know if they're going to flip over Rampart with like 13 and a half sigils and life gain their way to the win. You just don't know, right? Nick, stop. You just... That reaction showed me that Nathan is on Victor because he doesn't want to play Iris. No, I don't care what Jason plays. I just know that Jason is really good at illusionists. And so, like, I wouldn't be surprised. Nathan's playing Dromot. We'll see. We will see. We're all playing Riptide. Best deck in format, I heard. That is incorrect. Because like Ponkage said, even Riptide has Codex of Frailty. Okay, all right, Josh, you got me. Dash also has the same thing where she can present something like way off than what you expect. The difference is there isn't accidentally 100 cards in the format that just blow your shit up. That's the difference, right? Dory's not doing the same thing in catching strays, while Dash is actively just catching strays from smashing performance and ARG smash or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's what I think. What are the card guys taking to LA if I can't spread the secrets? All I can say is that I thought we would all be locked in way before when we were. I locked in this morning, is when I locked in, and I'm glad. I'm glad I got that done with. Now I just gotta get all the matchups done and put in the work, and we'll see what happens. Did someone think Fi was going to win Worlds? I don't remember the discourse around that time. Well, the thing about Fi in that meta, right, was Fi is actually not horrendous into Bravo, right? And Katsu was not a thing. Fi's worst matchup in the game is actually Katsu, because you can't block and he'll kill you. The Dromais have adapted their strategy to where I think if I'm a Dromai player, I would rather play against a Fi than a Katsu. That's me personally. I don't know if there's any Dromai mains to back that up or deny it in chat, but me personally, if I'm playing Dromai, I would much rather set across from a Fi than a Katsu right now. That's me personally. But yeah, also, what was it? Yeah, the Droma. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. And also, a lot of the quote unquote spice slapdash, these slower decks were kind of like that was their breakout tournament. Like Easton Douglas kind of broke out on that one, and Fi is a good counter for that, right? So it was just like kind of like an accidental thing. I don't want to say accidental, but you also have to be good at draft. Let's not forget that, right? I think most people weren't locked in before this week. I agree. I would bet that probably in the past week, 70% of players have probably swapped decks. If I had to guess, at some point in the past week. Rose has shook every time. Yep, has me shook every time. I see Dash and yeah. I know she's known for the old slap dash. Absolutely. Locked on Kadachi. So we know Josh is on Warrior. Yeah, I mean that's a safe guess. That is a safe guess. Also, thanks for the stream. Love to hear all your insight. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Means the world. Katsu and Victor both really bad for Fi. Yeah, Victor. That's another reason why Fi is not too great. Andromeda is much closer. Yep, absolutely. What on Katsu? Was on Katsu for a long time. Way too many Guardians Assassin at my meta. Yeah, Guardian can be rough. That's the thing. Like Art of War and I think so. Historically, Katsu has done bad in a defensive meta because you never get Mask of Momentum triggers. But that's not the game plan anymore. I know a lot of Katsu lists that don't even have Mask of Momentum in the deck. And they're not like, I think if you have it, it's only for Dromai. That's it. So. The best apps have truth in them. Look, I've never given misinformation. It's not my thing. I'm not gonna say anybody else does. I give the information I have that I think, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. See what happens. I've been locked, then unlocked, then locked again. The cycle continues until this week. Yep, I feel that. I locked in the moment I knew Dominate on Command was a meaningful ability in this format. Dominate on Command. See on Bravo? I don't know. I think Katsu is going to surprise a lot of people. Yeah, that's why I have him in my S tier. Like literally, he's up there. I think he's one of the best decks in the format. 100%. That is what I think. Where is this new Katsu build / concept other than using link? So the difference is how you play it. The difference is it's nothing innovative, right? Like all you got was Ancestral Harmony. It's an okay card. It's pretty good, but it's not making, it's not revolutionizing the deck, right? It's just literally how you play it. Sit back, deal 30 damage. So it's kind of like Taylor Crawford explained it this way, which I thought was brilliant. It's like a reverse Bolton combo. So historically, Bolton will work your life down to 30 and then kill you with the combo. Is typically how it works, right? However, basically what'll happen is with Katsu is he'll just combo you from 40, get you to 10, and then Kadachi the shit out of you, right? And so you're trying to get them to a low life total to where they start blocking cards. You have combat tricks to close out the game. But that's my opinion. As someone in the calling LA, should I prepare? Okay, Aaron, that is a great question. Let's spend a minute on that question. Aaron, that is a fantastic question. They are asking if you're participating in the calling versus the Pro Tour, should you prepare differently? And the answer is hell yes. Okay. Why are so many people playing KO right now? Because it's easy to play. It does something powerful. Like in a calling level of, so I think that KO will not in any way be the most represented deck in the Pro Tour, but I do think it will be the most represented deck in the calling. Because at a higher level, I think a lot of people are going to be able to pick apart KO and its representation will shrink. But in a general entry tournament, that's not the consensus. So basically, what I'm expecting is a lot more Kasai in the calling, a lot more KO, a lot less Levia, a lot less Kano. Katsu and Dromai probably about the same. Some more decks like Bravo and Rhinar and stuff like that. So basically, anything with a really high skill floor, reduce it by a little bit, and don't expect a lot of it in the calling. Or if you do, it'll be kind of fringe cases where maybe they're not the best at the deck and they're just going to an event, you know. Kasai bottom of A is Troll Nathan. All right. He got me. No, I don't think it is. Pierre, if I'm being 100% honest with you, if you were here an hour ago, she was in B. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how to tell you this. What's your long range post Dromai meta call for top 3 S tier decks? Okay. When Dromai goes, I think Bolton is the best deck in the format, along with Azuri. I think Bolton and Azuri are once Dromai leaves, Azuri and Bolton are gonna have a field day. I mean a field day. I'll take A over B. I can't give you a third. I don't know. The Brutes will still be fine. Maybe Azalea, something like that. I think the second Dromai leaves, Guardian will become extinct. That's my prediction. And I'm not saying that because I think that the Dromai matchup is like 90% Guardian favorite. No, I think it's like a 50-50 matchup. I'm just saying that the Warriors are going to come out of nowhere and that they have builds that just kill, that just like literally kill Guardian. And like Hino, you sit down and ask, "What are you done?" Yep. If I were going, I would actually think about playing Kasai because bad Dromai and bad KO means it'll do better. Prism is A tier. Are you high? You just said you were playing Iris Prism, Jason. I think she's fine. Only time you have to be worried about Levia is if Ethan is there. I don't think that's true. I think this event is going to dramatically shift everybody's opinion on that hero. I honestly see a world where there's 2 Levias in top 8. I like, for real. I for real think that there could be 2 Levias in top 8. I think in the CC rounds, a decent number of players will be on meta decks that they have minimal time on versus expert specialists who will excel in the split format. So being an expert, I see what you're saying. Being an expert does factor in the lower the power differences between the decks, right? So Lexi was like a good way to explain it is like KO. I'm not saying KO is the best deck because I obviously don't think he is, but 3 weeks ago everybody thought KO was the best deck. Okay, KO being the best deck and the next deck being right here is like amazing formula, right? Like it's the perfect situation. When I don't know who said it, but like Lexi was the best deck we've ever had. And yes, that's a true relative statement, but it was still dog shit because it was like Oldham here and Lexi like here. There was a huge gap between those heroes that we never truly saw until the end. And yeah, the situation we have now, there'll be inches between the top deck and the second deck. I mean, literal inches. If Dromai leaves, Teklo is A tier. It could be Nick. It could be bottom of A, top of B. We will see. Wowzers, was not expecting that. Lumina go boom. Nathan Shirley don't think Prism good. Yo, I said, look, Nathan, you just pulled Josh List out of Kasai's bad, and everyone. I mean, I thought it like last year. I spent a lot of time on Hatchet's story. Like, I'm not proud of it. Too much time, if we're being 100% honest. And so when Kasai came out, of course I was excited. I wanted to love that hero. I was biased as shit. But after playing it, I think it's a great deck. I just think this is not the meta for it. I think when the meta leans a little bit more aggressive, I think she'll have her time. Oh God, Crystal Ball, what heroes are in the final? In the finals in LA? Well, it's whatever hero I'm playing. And I'm gonna say me and Pat in the finals. Like, of course. I don't know what he's playing. I know he's played a lot of Leviah lately, but you know, we'll see. Top 8 hero spread prediction. Well, I've already said like I'm gonna say 2 brutes, but I really think it's gonna be 2 Leviah. Like that. I don't think there's a KO in top 8. I really don't. Unless it's somebody from Blue Pitch. If they play, I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm going to say 2 brutes. I don't know which one. And then we'll go 1 Katsu, 1 Dromai, 1 Victor. No Kano. I'm going to say no to Kano. A Dory. So 2 brutes, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Azalea. And a Bolton. No, Bolton's not going to be there. I'm going to say Bolton. Why not? I think it's most expertise on a single hero has ever mattered in Fab to date. I agree 100% with what you're saying, but is that enough? It means more today than ever. 100% agree. But is it enough? Is the question. And I don't know. I think it's a situation where if you are a specialist of a certain hero, you are about to get rewarded, right? Like, let's say that you have been playing Leviah for 2 years since she came out, and now she's an amazing deck, like Ethan, right? It's a great example. That's a great recipe for success. But if you have been playing Viserai since he came out, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it really doesn't. Simple as that. Like, it does not matter that you've been on Viserai since Vietnam, right? It literally does not matter. So being a specialist is important in the current format of Fab, but the type of specialist that you are during the given time period is very important. And just because you've been playing a dog shit hero for a long time, yeah, you're going to make up a little bit of a gap, but nobody's bringing Eviscerate and beating these top decks consistently. I don't care how long you've been on the deck. You might be able to bring Eviscerate and beat some of these decks. Sure. Since me and Majin will be playing the Kano Mirror in the finals versus each other. Peter, I respect that. I respect that. I respect that. If anybody can do it, it's you and Majin. As simple as that. Maybe I am wrong about the Kano. Maybe, I can't put two of them in, but I'll give up the Bolt and put a Kano in. How about that? What are Katsu's bad matchups? Guardian? 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 I don't. Azuri, maybe? Like, I don't think I know people would be like, oh yeah, Azalea. I don't think it's that bad, me personally. Yeah, like I'm telling you, if you guys haven't played against this Katsu deck, telling you, Dromai is bad for Katsu. No, it is not. If you know what you're doing, Dromai is the freest shit on the planet. I don't want to say free. It's like a 75-25, I'd say. I don't care if you got big dragons, little dragons, no dragons, all dragons. I don't care. Katsu figured out how to train the dragons. Simple as that. Rip the rune chant guy. It is what it is. It matters to Ethan that how you tilt him is to play bits. I mean, you know. Dawnblade Dory has a really good... That's true. That is true. Because what happens in that matchup specifically... That's actually really good, Pierre. Basically, what happens is like you're waiting for your combo pieces, and Dory does have a little bit of a combo, so sometimes you kind of like have to try twice, depending on how much they respect it. And by the time you combo, they're very likely going to have like 2 to maybe even 3 counters. And then what's going to happen is they're going to like only block Dishonor if you even have the ability to play Dishonor at the end of your double or triple bonds. And yeah, then they're just going to be able to like kill you instead of you being able to kill them with Kodachis. They're just going to finish you off kind of situation. So it's really, can you maintain the counters before the combo is the real question. If you can't, you're going to get blown out. I don't think it's super unfavorable, but it can be a rough one. It can be a rough one. Yeah, Azuri, Frailty. But that's the thing, like, Kodachis don't matter with the new deck. Mask of Momentum is not a thing. Okay, Z, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. Z, you've been in the streams, in the chats, talking up Prism since the day she came out. And I put her in A tier and you want me to drop her to C? What? What's your reasoning for putting Leviah above KO? She's better. But if you want an honest answer, I think she does equivalent numbers. And there's less risk associated with discarding random cards. And she has better armor. But the problem with that is it comes at a much harder deck to play. Read the other text. So that when I win, I can say I'm using a list. Oh, okay. I see. I was like, okay. Okay. If we're being honest, chat, I couldn't put Prism in C tier because then Ray is going to win the event and everybody's going to call me an idiot, right? Because that's never happened. Because because that's never happened. Katsu feels really bad for most of the warriors with the new Lynx build. I think it's manageable. It's not. It's not like you're not excited to sit across from him, but it's manageable. Glistening, yep. Yep. To be honest, Levi is better than KO, just harder to play. Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said. Block, bad, plus need to find combo. Yep. As someone who really enjoys Runeblade, who would you recommend playing until Runeblade gets some better weapons / cards? The closest deck that I've found to Runeblade, I don't know what Runeblade you prefer, but I mean, obviously it's old girl back there. And the closest thing that I've found to that deck, it's not the same thing, but it's Azalea and Redline Dromai are like the two closest. I wouldn't recommend going into Dromai because she could LL right around the corner. But I think Azalea is like you have the non-attacks, the attacks, you have the risk management setup, like a lot of the same type of things. What is this new Katsu list? I don't remember who posted it. Shing also posted it on Twitter. He has a version of it. Like I said, it's nothing revolutionary about the deck. The mindset shifted completely 180'd about the hero. When you played Katsu, it used to be, how do I extend the chain link and present 2 mass triggers a turn to apply pressure? That's what Katsu players used to think. And then whenever you can bonds, like they were running Snapdragons. I haven't seen a Snapdragon in a Katsu list in like so long, because Breeze Rider Boots is just a must because you're trying to triple bonds, right? And it's just the equipment and how you play around the equipment is what changed. Ancestral Harmony has nothing to do with it. It's good, but it's not like that good. No, I'm on Prism. She kind of good. Yep. I think she's fine. I think she's fine. Fino says Prism is a legit deck for PT. I mean, obviously I agree. Obviously I do. Dynamo Warriors have a decent time in Katsu. Yeah, it's manageable. It's manageable. Send the Runeblade players to play Kano. No, we don't need more Kano players. No offense to those who. No offense to Peter and Majin. What heroes do you think we see none of? All the ones in the bottom tier and very few of the C tier. I don't know. There's always like one or two that are just trying to like prove a point. Yep. Yeah, and like Katsu can even like banish the dynamos with the Cyclone Roundhouse or whatever that card is, the yellow one. Yeah, I to sum up the stream, Katsu good. Katsu good, and Kasai not as good as people thought. Sorry, Pierre, had to do it to you. But yeah, like that's my ideal in the meta. Like I said, I have a deck locked. It's in the A or S tier. We'll find out shortly. Also, just a little news. I will not be doing a stream for the next 2 weeks because next Wednesday I'll be in LA. That's when I'm arriving. And then the week after, I got a little bit of wife aggro, and so we're going to Disneyland after the Pro Tour. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in Disneyland after the Pro Tour before we come home. So therefore, I will not make the Wednesday after either. But if we have some like really good news, we might have to plan something for like Thursday or Friday. But we'll see. We'll see. So not going to be able to do another stream for a hot minute, but it is what it is. If there are no more questions, I just want to, wish everybody the best of luck if they're prepping for the Pro Tour or they're going to the calling. Please go enjoy. Um, Literally, callings are my favorite events. I love the prestige and the playing for it all in the Pro Tours and Worlds and stuff like that. But man, callings is like my favorite, like what I consider like actual competitive events, and then my favorite casual events are like RTNs and ProQuest. Uh, Absolutely love them. But oh yeah, what do you think gets a bump after Dromai LLs? So I actually somebody already asked that, but basically my answer was I think Azuri and Bolton are probably best deck in format. Once Dromai leaves, possibly. It's a little spicy, I know, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, yeah. If there's no more questions from chat, I think that might do it for the stream. I appreciate everybody being here. If you're catching the VOD, leave a comment down below. Agree, disagree. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm not even close. I don't care. I just, I think it's all. Just because I say it doesn't mean it's true. You should question everything, whether it comes from me or anybody else. And yeah. Oh yeah, we have more illusionists supposedly from the Misfail, which is going to, completely probably invalidate everything I just said. But we'll see. We will see. Like I said, I appreciate everybody being here. It means the world. And if you're gonna be in LA, stop and say hey, please. I always enjoy it. I love seeing people that watch the stream or the VODs. Catch up. Looking forward to it. Hope everybody has a good week. Safe travels if you're traveling.